A family destroyed in a split second on State Road 67. And the man behind the wheel of the semi truck that killed them, he shouldn't have been there. I don't mean he shouldn't have been on this specific road. I mean, he shouldn't have been in that driver's seat. He shouldn't have had a CDL in his wallet. And frankly, according to the federal government, as of this week, he shouldn't have even been able to apply for one. Now, we're talking about a crash that has exposed one of the biggest, most dangerous loopholes in the entire trucking industry. A loophole that allowed someone to enter the country, bypass safety checks that you, the American driver, have to go through and get handed the keys to an 80,000-pound guided missile. This isn't about politics. This isn't about physics. This isn't about safety. And this isn't about the fact that while you are out there fighting to keep your CSA score clean, fighting to keep your insurance rates down, and fighting to stay compliant, the system was letting people shortcut the line and putting lives at risk. Now, on this video, I'm going to do a deep dive into the Indiana crash that changed everything. Now, I'm going to look at the driver, the loophole, the state that issued the license, and the massive federal crackdown that just dropped on 43 states. But before I get into the weeds, I know a lot of you like to see the receipts. You want to see the court documents and the official reports yourself. So I have linked the full article and a breakdown of the new FMCSA rule in the description box below. So do me a favor, watch this video first so you understand the context, then click the link down in the description box and read the documents for yourself. Do not take my word for it. Go see the evidence. Now let's talk about what happened in Jay County, Indiana. Now on Tuesday, February 3rd of 2026, it was about 4 p.m. on State Road 67. You know the kind of road, 2 lanes, traffic moving at speed. A commercial vehicle is traveling eastbound. Behind him is a 2022 Freightliner. The driver of the Freightliner is a 30-year-old man named Begzan Beshkiv. Now, the truck in front of Beshkiv slows down for traffic. Standard stuff. It happens 1,000 times a day. You see brake lights, you apply pressure. You maintain your following distance. You manage your space. But Beshkiv doesn't stop. He doesn't slow down in time. And what happens next is the difference between a professional driver and someone who just holds a piece of plastic. Instead of riding the brake, instead of taking a ditch, instead of doing literally anything else, he panics. He jerks the wheel to the left. He swerves into the westbound lane into incoming traffic. Coming the other way is a 2011 Chevrolet carrying the Ecker family. They didn't have a chance. The Freightliner slammed into them head on. 4 people in that van were killed instantly. Henry Eckert, 50 years old, Menno Eckert, 25 years old, Paul Eckert, 19 years old, and Simon Garrod, 23. 4 lives gone because a driver made a rookie mistake, a panic move. Now, as an instructor, I'm sure they tell students this all the time. I'm sure they tell them, we can teach someone how to double clutch, we can teach someone how to back in the dock, but we cannot teach instinct in the classroom. Instinct comes from experience. It comes from years of seeing four-wheelers do stupid things. It comes from understanding the weight and the momentum of your rig. Now, when you swerve into oncoming traffic to avoid a rear end collision, that tells me one thing: you are not ready for the road. And that brings us to the $1,000,000 question: who is Begzan Beshkiv? And how did he get a commercial driver's license? This is where the story goes from tragic to infuriating. Beshkiv is not a U.S. citizen. He is not a permanent resident. According to ICE and the Department of Homeland Security, he entered the United States through the Arizona port of entry. This was back around late 2023 or 2024. He didn't sneak across the border. He used the CBP One app. He processed through, he was paroled into the country, and he was given an employment authorization document, an EAD, basically a work permit. Now, having a work permit is one thing, but driving a commercial vehicle is a completely different animal. In July of 2025, just last summer, Beshkeev walked into a DMV in Pennsylvania and he walks out with a CDL, a non-domicile CDL. Now, I want you to really hear me on this next part because this is the double standard that should make every professional driver in this country angry. If you go to get your CDL today, or if you go to apply for a job with a major carrier, what is the first thing they look at? Your MVR, your motor vehicle record. They want to know what you've been doing for the last 3 years. Have you had speeding tickets? Have you had DUIs? Have you been reckless? If you have a messy record in the last 3 years, you are unsurable. You cannot get hired. The industry vets you. They check your history to predict your future safety. But what happens when someone like Beshkeev walks into the DMV? He has only been in the country for maybe 18 months. He doesn't have a 3-year driving history in the United States. His driving history is in his country. So does the DMV call up his country and ask for records? No, they don't. Does the FMCSA have a database that connects to Central Asian traffic courts? No, they don't. So for years, under the old rules, as long as he had that valid work permit and as long as he could pass the written test and the road test, he got the license. Think about that. The state of Pennsylvania issued a license to drive an 80,000-pound vehicle to a man whose driving history was a complete ghost. For all they knew, he could have had 10 wrecks in his home country. He could have had his license suspended 5 times. There was zero way to verify it. And because there was no way to verify it, they just ignored it. They treated him as if he had a clean slate, while you are held accountable for every ticket that you've gotten since 2023. He was held accountable for nothing. This is the non-domicile loophole. And it's not just one guy. We're talking about thousands of drivers. For years, we have seen this trend. Carriers, especially the shady ones, the chameleon carriers, they love this. They need bodies and seats. They don't care about the 3-year history. They want cheap labor. And if they can get a driver who is desperate for work, who doesn't know the industry standard, and who will run for pennies on the mile, they will take him. And the states facilitate it. Pennsylvania, Illinois, New York, California, they were churning out these non-domicile CDLs based on work permits alone. Pennsylvania actually stopped doing it in September 2025. They saw the heat coming, but by then it was too late for the Ecker family. Beshkeev already had his license in July. He was already in the system. And on February 3rd, the system fell. But now the hammer has dropped, and it dropped hard. This week, largely in response to the crash and others like it, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and the DOT, they finalized a new rule. And this rule effectively kills the loophole. It's a game changer. Here is what the new rule says. First, simply having an EAD, a work permit, is no longer enough to get a non-domicile CDL. That door is shut. To get a non-domicile CDL now, you must be on a specific visa, H-2A, H-2B, or E-2. These are visas for agricultural workers or specialized employees. They are much harder to get. They are tracked much more closely. Second, and this is the big one, the 1-year domicile rule. The new regulation states that if you cannot provide a verifiable driver record from your home country, you cannot get a CDL, period. It essentially says, if we don't know how you drive, you don't drive. This levels the playing field. It forces foreign nationals to meet the same safety standards that you meet. It stops the states from issuing these ghost licenses. Now, you will hear some people say this is discriminatory. You will hear people say this is going to make the driver shortage worse. Well, let me be clear about something. There is no driver shortage. There is a shortage of qualified, safe, professional drivers who are willing to work for a fair pay. What we have had is a surplus of unqualified drivers, lowering the bar for everyone else. When you flood the market with drivers who haven't been vetted, drivers who don't have the history, you drive down the rates. You drive up insurance premiums and you drive up the accident rate. Look at your insurance renewal this year. Did it go up? I'm sure it did. Why? Because of the nuclear verdicts, because of catastrophic accidents, because risk is out of control. When a driver like Beshkiv plows into a family van, that is a multi-million dollar liability. And who pays for that? We all do. Every owner operator, every small fleet, every carrier that is doing things the right way. We pay for the negligence in our own premiums. So this crackdown is overdue. It is necessary protection for the industry. The government of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, he tried to defend the state. He said they followed the federal rules that were in place at the time. And technically, he's right. The loophole existed, but that doesn't make it right. And it doesn't bring back the 4 people who died on State Road 67. It just proves that the regulations were lagging behind reality. The reality is that trucking is dangerous. It's not a job for everyone. It's certainly not a job for someone whose background is a mystery. Now, what does this mean for you moving forward? If you are owner operator, this should eventually help stabilize the market. If you remove thousands of unqualified drivers from the road, capacity tightens. Rates should reflect the value of a professional, safe driver. It also means that if you are running a small fleet, you need to be very, very careful about who you hire because the feds are not playing anymore. They are auditing states. They are stripping funding from states that don't comply, and they are coming after carriers who employ drivers with invalid CDLs. Beshkiv is currently in federal custody. He is facing deportation proceedings, but the tragedy is already written. This is a wake-up call for the DOT, for the states, and for our industry. We cannot prioritize keeping the supply chain moving over keeping people alive. We cannot prioritize cheap freight over public safety. The standard has to be the standard. 3 years of history, verified skills, proven safety. If you can't show that, you don't get the keys. It's that simple. I want to know what you think about this. Do you think this new rule goes far enough? Have you seen these drivers on the road? Have you seen the impact on your rates? Drop a comment below. Let's have a real conversation about this. And like I said at the beginning, if you want to see the breakdown of the crash report, click that link in the description box. Educate yourself, stay informed, and protect your business. And if you feel like this video was informative, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and turn on your post notifications. And if you're trying to start a box truck business in 2026, check out my free course on YouTube. The link is in the description box below. Also, if you want to know the history of the commercial driver's license, check out the video on the screen below. On this video, I'm doing a deep dive going back to the days of the chauffeur's license, where drivers carry stacks of license from different states to spread out their tickets and dodge suspensions. Now, once again, I'm Marcellus with Trucking with MBR. Stay safe out there on the road, and I'll see you on the next video.